I have a dream. A very unsettling dream that keeps me awake at night. I envision a greater Israel, a dramatically expanded country stretching from the Mediterranean Sea to the Persian Gulf, encompassing lands far beyond our current borders. This isn't just about nibbling at the edges, it's about swallowing entire countries whole. Jordan, gone. Syria, history, Lebanon, absorbed. Even Saudi Arabia isn't safe from this cartographic hunger pang. The vision extends to the oil-rich deserts and beyond. Now you might be thinking, John, that sounds ambitious in a Genghis Khan playing Risk kind of way. And you'd be right, it's a vision of conquest and domination. This isn't some fringe idea whispered in smoky backrooms. It's a bold, audacious plan discussed openly in the halls of power. I'm a prominent member of Israel's government, holding the national purse strings, influencing decisions that shape our future. When I speak, people listen, even if they wish they hadn't. My words carry weight and stir controversy. This greater Israel fantasy isn't new, but it's rarely been uttered so brazenly by someone in such a position of power. It's a bold declaration that shocks and awes. It's like a dog whistling so loudly it's basically just yelling. The message is clear and unmistakable. So, what's the basis for this land grab of epic and frankly terrifying proportions? What fuels this audacious ambition? Well, it's a toxic cocktail of religious interpretation, historical revisionism, and a sense of destiny, and a dash of because we can swagger. It's a heady mix that drives this vision forward. Buckle up, folks, because this is where things get messy. The road ahead is fraught with conflict and uncertainty. Unsurprisingly, the world reacted to Smotrich's vision with the kind of shock usually reserved for finding a live shark in your swimming pool. The audacity and sheer brazenness of his comments left many speechless, struggling to comprehend the implications.
Jordan, understandably miffed at being erased from the map, called his comments racist and dangerous. The outrage was palpable, with protests erupting in the streets and officials demanding immediate retractions.
France, never one to mince words, straight up refused to meet with him. The French government issued a stern statement, condemning the remarks and emphasizing the importance of diplomatic respect. It's like being uninvited to a party you weren't invited to in the first place. The international community closed ranks, making it clear that such rhetoric had no place in modern diplomacy.
The U.S., Israel's best bud and enabler-in-chief, has been conspicuously quiet. This silence speaks volumes, hinting at internal conflicts and the delicate balance of their alliance. This is like when your friend starts dating someone truly awful and you're just waiting for the inevitable meltdown. Everyone's on edge, anticipating the fallout.
This isn't just about hurt feelings and diplomatic snubs, though. The stakes are much higher, with potential shifts in international alliances and policies. Smotrich's vision has real-world consequences. It exacerbates tensions in an already volatile region, making peace seem even more elusive. It throws gasoline on the already smoldering fire of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The situation on the ground becomes more precarious, with lives hanging in the balance. It alienates potential allies and makes enemies out of, well, everyone else. The diplomatic fallout is extensive, with long-term repercussions.
This isn't just Israel being Israel, folks. This is a significant departure from even their most controversial policies. This is next level, internationally condemned, we're not sure we want to share a planet with you anymore behavior. The global community is left grappling with the implications. The shockwaves of Smotrich's vision will be felt for a long time, altering the course of international relations and regional stability.
To understand the greater Israel delusion, we need to delve into the murky waters of history and religion. This concept is deeply rooted in ancient texts and historical narratives that have been interpreted and reinterpreted over centuries. Proponents point to the biblical borders of ancient Israel, conveniently ignoring the millennia that have passed, and the fact that, borders change. They overlook the dynamic nature of history and the evolution of civilizations. It's like claiming ownership of your neighbor's house because your great-great-great-grandfather once camped in the backyard. Such claims are not only impractical, but also absurd in the modern context. This ideology is inherently expansionist and frankly racist. It promotes a sense of entitlement that disregards the rights and existence of current inhabitants. It's based on the idea that Jews have a God-given right to this land, regardless of who's currently living there. This belief system fuels ongoing conflicts and tensions in the region. It's the kind of thinking that would make even manifest destiny blush. The parallels between these expansionist ideologies are striking and troubling. The problem is, the Middle East is already a crowded house. The region is home to diverse cultures, religions, and peoples who have coexisted for centuries. Forcing everyone to live under one roof, especially when that roof is held up by religious extremism, is a recipe for disaster. The resulting tensions and conflicts are inevitable and often violent. Smotrich's comments have exposed a deep rift in Israeli society. Right-wing groups are cheering him on, while left-wing and centrist voices are aghast. It's like Thanksgiving dinner with your family, if your family was constantly on the verge of civil war.
The international community, however, has been remarkably united in its condemnation. The UN, the EU, even Canada have expressed their dismay.
It's like watching a room full of toddlers agree that broccoli is gross, a rare moment of global harmony.
This isn't just about Israel anymore. This is about the very principles of international law, peace, and basic human decency.
Yeah, this is serious business, folks. Section 5. Palestinian fears, from bad to worse. Imagine living in a perpetual state of uncertainty, your future dictated by another government. Now imagine that government openly discussing plans to make your home part of their country, permanently. That's the reality for Palestinians living under Israeli occupation. Smotrich's vision isn't just theoretical for them. It's a terrifying glimpse into a potential future where their rights, their land, their very existence is erased. It's hard to overstate the level of fear and despair his words have caused. This isn't about politics, it's about people. Real people whose lives are being held hostage to a dangerous ideology. Section 6. When faith fuels policy, the religious dimension. Smotrich is a self-proclaimed religious Zionist. This isn't just about land for him, it's about fulfilling a biblical prophecy, about creating a Jewish state that stretches across the ancient land of Israel. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with religion, but when it's used to justify dispossessing others, to claim a divine right to land that's already occupied, it becomes a dangerous weapon. It's like playing Monopoly with someone who thinks God gave them Boardwalk and Park Place. This intertwining of religion and politics is a recipe for disaster. It creates a situation where compromise becomes heresy, where peace is seen as a betrayal of God's will. Section 7. Playing with fire, the risk of regional inferno. Smotrich's vision isn't just morally reprehensible, it's strategically idiotic. The Middle East is a powder keg, and he's holding a blowtorch. Annexing Palestinian territories, displacing populations, pushing for a greater Israel. These actions would ignite a regional conflict of unimaginable proportions. This isn't about Israel defending itself, it's about Israel actively provoking its neighbors, about turning a simmering conflict into a full-blown inferno.
The consequences would be felt far beyond the region. Global instability, economic collapse, a refugee crisis of epic proportions. These are just some of the potential outcomes. This isn't a game, folks. This is playing with fire, and everyone gets burned.
Section 8. Two states, one nightmare, the future of peace. The two-state solution, that flickering candle of hope for peace between Israelis and Palestinians, is now on life support. Smotrich's vision makes it clear there's no room for a Palestinian state in his greater Israel.
This isn't just a setback. It's a full-blown rejection of the very idea of peace based on compromise and mutual recognition. It's like trying to solve a jigsaw puzzle by setting half the pieces on fire. So, what's the alternative? Continued occupation? Apartheid? Another war? These are the questions we should be asking, the scenarios we need to be preparing for. Because one thing's for sure, ignoring the problem won't make it go away. It'll just make it explode.
Section 9. The world cannot afford silence. A call to action. The international community has a moral obligation to act. Silence in the face of such blatant aggression is complicity. We cannot stand idly by while Smotrich and his ilk drag the Middle East and potentially the world into another devastating conflict. We need strong, unequivocal condemnation of Smotrich's vision. We need sanctions, boycotts, and diplomatic pressure. We need to make it clear that this kind of behavior is not acceptable, not from Israel, not from anyone. This isn't about being anti-Israel. It's about being pro-peace, pro-justice, pro-humanity. It's about standing up for what's right, even when it's difficult, even when it's uncomfortable. Because silence in the face of such dangerous rhetoric is deafening. Section 10. The urgency of now preventing catastrophe. We're at a tipping point. The situation in the Middle East is precarious, and Smotrich's vision is a match poised to ignite a conflagration. We cannot afford to wait and see what happens. We need to act now, decisively and with unwavering resolve, to prevent a catastrophe. This isn't just about Israel and Palestine anymore. This is about the future of the region, the stability of the world, the very principles of peace and justice that we claim to uphold. The time for complacency is over. The time for action is now. Section 11. A final plea for sanity. Look, I'm not naive. I know the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is complex, fraught with history, trauma, and mistrust, but I also know that peace is possible, however improbable it may seem. But peace requires courage, compromise, and a willingness to see the humanity in the other. It requires rejecting dangerous ideologies like Smotrich's Greater Israel fantasy and embracing a vision of a future where Israelis and Palestinians can coexist in peace and security. Let's choose hope over hate, dialogue over division, peace over perpetual conflict. The alternative is simply unthinkable.